Okay, well, we're going to pick up with enlarging one of the shapes off of this sheet. I'm going to pick the letter F because I want to show you how to take this block and start to carve away to show something like a window or a block out, as well as how to show back faces, back planes inside of here. So the first thing I'm going to do, this is roughly a square right here. So I'm going to make a square as close as I can. We're not doing too much measurements, but we're just going to use this as our beginning. So I'm going to block out a square, and I'm going to enlarge this, so I definitely don't want it to be that small. So similar to when we started here, we're just going to pick a height and width, something square oriented. Let's see what we get here. And I'm using a light pencil once again. Notice I'm just making a all using a light pencil. So now we've made that front face, and we're just going to make this rectangular prism. So we do our projection lines back, right, that show the depth of the object. And one thing you can do is we can look at this two different ways. We could do our 30 degrees, or we could take a look at the drawing and see roughly what angle they chose. Right, but if we look there, it's about a 60-degree angle. So we're going to do a 60-degree projection lines. This means you got to turn your triangle a little bit, and we're going to create projection lines back. Very light lines. From all the corners. Okay, so that creates some depth lines, and now we want to go ahead and terminate the back of that object so that we have a cube. Connect our back faces. Alright, and I'll even do that shape in the back so you get a sense of what's going on in that back face. Okay, so now we've made a cube. Notice these lines are just off on the edge now, but that's okay, they're guidelines. When we come back later and darken it in, it'll all make more sense. First step in drawing this letter F, if we're looking on here, is to separate, create that subdivided space on the side, in the front view. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to make a line to subdivide that. We'll do there. Project off at 60 degrees. And that creates this subdivision on the angle. Now we want to divide the top into 1, 2, 3, 4, roughly. We're trying to find these little teeth on the edge of the F. So the way we do that is we just project our horizontal, by roughly subdividing this. So I'm going to go 1, 2, and then 3. And what that does is that gives us the cutouts for our F. Okay? Now the next step is going to be projecting downward and showing that F, right? Showing the leg there on the F. So what we do to do that is we project the edges, these back edges that we've drawn, down to the bottom back edge. And we do the same thing for the back, except we stop when we run into the next line, right? Because everything is in the foreground as you come closer to the front of the block. So now once we've done that, we want to close off the bottom of this leg. And then we've created this leg of the F, right? This portion here is this portion. This portion here is going to be that portion, and so on. We're almost there. All we need to do now is add a window, right? Or this little punch out on the side of our letter F. And the way we do that is create an offset boundary. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a few points here and here, about the same distance top and bottom. And we're also going to do the same distance on the bottom and top faces around the shape. So all I'm doing is making guidelines, and this allows me to frame in, to block in. I'm going to connect those diagonals, and then I connect my vertical dots. And I've made a boundary around the inside, right? This is called an offset because it's the same shape but it's slightly smaller. And then we want to show the depth of that offset shape. The way we're going to do that is we've got to project a little horizontal line from the corner to show how deep is this window, and we're going to make it not too deep, but we'll go that far. We create a vertical line that only goes to the top of the block out because we can't see back in there. And then we take a 60-degree projection line and we project that back to the front of the drawing. Oop, that was a little off. Now, with everything we've shown here, we've got the whole shape. Now we just need to draw our parallels. So I'm going to come in with my heavy pen or my light middle pen and darken in what really matters. And that means we've got to come in and make this shape look like the letter F. So we're going to kind of sketch over what we've created carefully so that we don't ruin tracing around the letters. Now I'm just showing all those things that are apparent in the view. So those light lines that I used earlier to make some of the construction lines don't show up anymore. They're not darkened. If you wanted to, you could come back and add hidden lines to show some of these back faces, but that's up to you. It may help you. Notice how having a straight guideline helps your sketch, gives you a kind of footprint to follow. Alright. So we have our big letter. Now we need to do our shading. Our shading is going to be on the back leg of the F and on the inside of the window, the punch out. And we do that carefully a couple of ways. One is we could come back and use our straight edge, or we could take our time and turn our page so that our arm and our sketch is horizontal. Notice how I take my time to space each one as best as I can. This is not a time to get sloppy, especially when you've spent so much time setting up the drawing. Oops, forgot this back leg. And finally, our window. I'm going to turn the window so that I can get a good angle. Then we have our letter F. We finally come back to bold up everything that's on the border of the object. And now we've enlarged, taken a smaller version of the F and placed it on the page. Good luck.